Welcome to Tetris Tuesdays at 10. I'm Ryan, and it's been a wild one this week. It hasn't. To get us back in, sorry about starting late, so I'm just going to get into it here. In 1988, which we've been in 1988 for a very long time, quite possibly since we stopped Vadim Gerasimov's DOS Tetris, might have been the last one we did in 87. We've been in 88 for I think Microsoft, and I don't know, don't quote me on that. It's been episode, what are we doing, 14 now? Jeez. In 88, Spectrum Holobyte, who we have been talking about because they were the ones that have been producing these most recent Tetrises, they sold the Japanese rights to Bulletproof Software, and I've been excited to get Bulletproof Software into the mix because I know that just means we're all the more closer to the Famicom version, which I have physically, but also all the more closer to the Nintendo version, which is where this all began for little old Ryan Miller. So Bulletproof Software is also where Hank Rogers enters the picture, a formidable figure in the life of Tetris to this day. Still can't wait for Tetris Forever. But also, if you just go watch that movie, he's the main guy. He's the protagonist, the character through which you enter the story in the movie of Tetris. Him and Alexei, quite possibly. Even though all of this rights stuff is getting funky, Microsoft sold arcade rights to Atari game subsidiary Tengen, which we are going to talk about. I think last week I mentioned possibly doing the arcade versions this week. I did get them up and running and then realized that chronologically they hadn't quite happened yet. So we are going to play those, actually. It's just that it's still fit to keep going with the Bulletproof Software stable so far, which again, very excited about. So Sega got the Japanese arcade rights, and I did get both of those versions, American and Japanese. And they also published, they sold the console rights to Bulletproof Software, who published versions for Japanese computers, which is right where we're at. They did some for the MSX2, the PC-88, and the X68000. We are going to do the version for the Fujitsu FM-77AV, which the FM7 is kind of the series of computers that we're doing there. And we're doing the 77AV. And look at this thing. Just look at that. It's beautiful. I don't know if the CRT came with, but just as a package, that is a good looking computer right there. So very excited to see if this works, because it did take a little bit. Obviously, this is a Japanese computer system. The FM7 did have a life as the Sequoienza from Spain. So quite possibly you know it under that name, but didn't ever make it to the States as far as I know. So had to make my way through. Oh, I guess I can take that off the screen, even though I don't want to. Looks beautiful. I had to make my way through some Japanese to get this one going. In fact, because at one point there was an option in the emulator, which all thanks to the XM7 emulator and the folks there that make it possible, but I downloaded it by way of Neo Kobe. So he had not only the game did I find, but this emulator itself. So I ended up using this option that did, because all of the controls take place on the number pad. My keyboard doesn't have a number pad. So once I was able to bind some of those to the arrows, it started to work, but not perfectly. So I basically had to go through the keyboard mapping, find out, or no, actually first I had to find the manual for Tetris for the Fujitsu, and like kind of luckily enough they you know, I didn't understand any of the kanji, but the numbers are Roman, I guess, or whatever. You know, I could find the number pad numbers, because that is also what it looks like on the Fujitsu keyboard, which I'm like looking up pictures of and staring at. I'm like, okay, this goes to this, and this goes to this, and then going through the key binding and finally getting it set up so that it would have been the 4, 5, 6 keys on the number pad, or how it was originally on the Fujitsu keyboard. I bound them to the editor's hotkeys, like has been happening with the Spectrum Holobyte version. So JKL is what I'm going to be using, but I will still use my keyboard. So finally got it going. And this is what it looks like. Nope, that's the computer again. But isn't it great? This is what it looks like. And there, I actually don't know. I've noticed a lot, especially with the microcomputers, it's that you put in the floppies and then you restart it, and that's what boots it. I don't know if there's a way to run it from the prompt here. You are going to notice that I couldn't figure out a way to do sharp pixels, which I kind of have been leaning towards, generally speaking, with these emulators. This one's got a little CRT emulation that looks just fine. So. To get it started, in fact, let's, just in case the audio doesn't come through great. I did test it beforehand. It should be working fine. But to get it to run, we insert, I'm also not sure if this is necessary, but it appeared to be the way for some games, and was the way this finally started working. So I'm just going to keep doing it, but the ROM came with 2 floppies, so I insert both floppies into drive 1 and drive 2, or drive 0 and drive 1, essentially. And then we just reset. Bulletproof Software logo comes right up, and I think I might actually turn down the volume on the audio capture here. You'll see why in a second. Okay, I'll let it go, and then you'll see why. But you can see everybody involved there. Sphere was Spectrum Holobyte. Can't remember exactly why they went by Sphere sometimes, but okay, audio's coming through. See a little bit about the developers there. And just a face full of music. Not bad music. skipping around for me a little bit in my ear. Guessing that's going across. Don't necessarily need to play this out entirely because I think we can choose it again once the game starts, because this follows, again, kind of the Nintendo way of doing things, in that you would choose your music before you started playing. It's got some other very different things about it, though. Okay, well, that's... Now you see why I might turn this down maybe 5 decibels here. Let's go -30. And that trick. Oh, no, this is the demo. And this is, by the way, the XM7 emulator only runs on Windows. So I'm emulating Windows, which is emulating XM7. But so far, no complaints. So find out. All right. Okay, we're working. So I'm going to go with stage 0. Great little map graphic there. And if you didn't notice on the opening screen there, it's kind of the first time we're delving into realism. You know, they actually looked like they were representing a photograph there to some extent. And this is where you can choose the music. The one we just heard on the demo screen. Haven't heard that one yet. So you got a little bit of a taste for this one. It's pretty hardcore. I'm going to go with Karinka for the first. Now you see why maybe I turn it down a little bit. It's going to be going the whole time. So let's see how much we like it. And the key bindings still work. So while that's falling, because I've noticed it does start out pretty slow. In fact, in general, the little bit I have poked around on this one hasn't been bad. As far as speed goes, but the game itself is split into 10 stages of 6 rounds each, which is pretty new for Tetris. I don't think anybody's done that yet. Drop speed increases with each stage, and each round starts with higher amounts of garbage. So you kind of speeds up, and then it'll slow down if you get to the next round, which who knows if I will. But you also have lives if you look over there on the left. So if you top out, you lose a life, and game over after 3. Yeah, we'll let that one fall too, so I can put it, because it started me with an S piece. Is that a thing? I feel like I keep getting started with S pieces. Line clears are 40, just the singles, that is. Doubles are 100, triples are 300, and you do actually get a points bonus for a Tetris, which I swear has not been a thing just yet. So I am incentivized to actually try and do a Tetris here, which is probably going to be bad news just altogether. But also, if the piece was hard dropped, the amount equal to the number of rows covered by the hard drop plus 1 is added. Otherwise, no score for dropping is added. So I technically got no score for that piece right there. So we're going to start hard dropping. And we are going to set ourselves up for a Tetris. And we are going to get an O piece very early on. And an S piece. That's okay. Well, we'll set ourselves up for a Tetris eventually, I promise. For now, we're just going to try and survive on this mess. And I think because we chose the music, we'll try to choose, depending on how long I can stay alive. I want to choose all of the music options just so we get a taste, but also the silence option, because I want to say, again, that's actually how I started playing, not actually started, but that's how I eventually came to play Tetris as default, is just I turned the music off, because I figured out way back with the NES version that the faster the music went, the more stressed out I got. So I don't know if the music speeds up for this one, because I haven't played it that much to know if, you know, once it gets up to a certain level, the music starts going faster. Given how fast the music is kind of going already, that would be equally as stressful. But again, I want to give all versions of the game here a shot, because we are getting real close to what seems real familiar for me when I came into this game. And there are, okay, we might be able to set up a Tetris here now. Multiple versions, as with the Mirrorsoft and Spectrum Holobyte ones. Multiple versions produced by Hank Rogers and Bulletproof Software. So here we go. This is it. No sound, but still feel great. And I've been looking a little bit into them just because I want to know the different versions by Bulletproof, just because I want to know if, how far I'm going to go, if some of them are just too similar to other ones, so we can kind of skip them. Trying to not to do the thing I do with everything ever, where I take forever because I need to do every single version in chronological order. So trying to go soft on some of that. But so far, I think we're probably going to do the Sharp version. I can't remember now. It was either the Sharp or the PC 88 or 8800 or... Again, shouldn't have started talking about it. Did not come to a decision on any of that. Man, okay, now we need 2 lines. Badly. Should have just taken the L on that one. Literally. Okay, we're gonna start taking the L now. Taking all the L's. There we go. Oh, okay, well. Downside to rounds. You did not need to go into so much there. How's the music treating you? Again with the S piece, I just don't... Let's see if we can make something... Ah, not the other one! See if we can make something out of that eventually. It's not bad music. It's just a bit much sometimes. What is that? Where does this... Okay. See, this one, strangely enough, and this makes sense now since the arcade versions came later than I thought. Having booted them up, now I'm going to talk about the game I'm not playing right now. You can finally affect the drop rate. Like if you press down, it goes down at a faster rate, but it doesn't hard drop. So I find myself thinking about that in times like that. Hello, Hokura. I see you commenting. I unfortunately do not know what that says. You would assume maybe I did, playing this version of the Tetris that I am at this moment, but I'm afraid I do not. But you are welcome to hang out, obviously, and I hope you've arrived at this location because you have fond memories of this very game. I know that's why I'm doing the entire thing. Cat coming out of a box emoji. Now we're speaking the same language. Fully agree. Does the music bring up fond memories? Or do you two find yourself thinking about when you would just play with no music? Yeah, see, the speed isn't really an issue. This is kind of... Did we speed up at all? What did I say when I told you how this worked? It speeds up per round. Stage. No, it speeds up per stage, but it's going to reset with the round. Okay, we're just going to take the L with that one. So, one of the reasons I can't wait for Tetris Forever is because I believe the movie portrays Hank, and this I believe to be true, as helping Alexi with some rule sets and whatnot. And I'm curious, Tetris, curious if that's part of why we're seeing, you know, a score bonus for Tetris, you know. In fact, I want to say straight up the movie makes that a suggestion of Hank's, you know, like he keyed in on the fact that that was something that you kind of went for. I would be interested. They must touch on that during Tetris Forever. Tetris Forever, I keep talking about it, the digital Eclipse game that's coming out pretty soon, I think, and is basically a bunch of heads-up interviews as well as a bunch of games, but the way they make their Gold Master series, as it's called. You're gonna go fast here? Wow, this does not even feel like it's sped up at all. And I don't want to wait. We're just gonna go. I'm gonna wait for it to drop. But yeah, it's kind of the games mixed in with a lot of actual interviews with Hank and Alexi. So they must touch on that. You know, like I'm sure they will be like, this is where the idea for Tetris Tetris, the act of putting a line piece in to complete all the lines, not the game Tetris. I'm sure they'll talk about the game Tetris as well. I am I'm close to muting the music in my ear, which doesn't seem fair to you guys, but apart from restarting this game, which I kind of don't want to do, I don't see any way to spare you, or at least change the song. You know, like I wish I died more in this version of Tetris so that I could change the song for you. It's a dotted line though, right? You can feel us getting close to that Famicom or NES version, that illegal copy, as it was called by Elorg, right, at the time? Was that it? Because the rights were all for better or worse, I can't tell where the song begins and ends. It's just one complete round. Seems like it goes on forever. Now you see why I didn't choose, so on the other games where it was like, you can choose continuous music, and then all it really was like, it would play the same little stinger. Not on a loop, but whereas it would usually just play once you leveled up, it would, you know, continue to play it. Okay, here we go. Looks like I'm getting, are those actually bonuses with the scores there, or is that just, is it just telling me what happened? I'm gonna get a Tetris because I already put a space over there. Put another space right there. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna sound bad because again, I'm very aware of my Tetris ability. I'm not, you know, you should be watching, any number of other people would be streaming this because they're phenomenal, and that's what's fun to watch at it. I'm above average, you know, I can brute force my way through some Tetris just by, I'm not doing it right now though, let me tell you, just by way of having been with the game so long. Now I'm getting used to these, you know, keyboard controls, so that's something I couldn't say before, but otherwise nothing to look at here. I can't remember why I started to tell you that, but oh, because I wish I was dying more. If we blast our way through some of these rounds, though, maybe that's the thing, right? And there is so the Fujitsu made a few computer models. FM-50, I think, came before the FM-7 series, is what it was. There is a version of that as well. It doesn't look quite different enough, and in as much as it looks different, it doesn't look as good. So I went with this, the technical FM-77AV version. That was a mistake. So we're going to skip around a bit with the bulletproof software versions as well. Again, just whatever's different enough, much like we've been doing so far. I'm not worried about being so exhaustive. All right, stage 4, right? When did we go up a round? Was it stage 10? Boy, really should have gone silent. Nothing on the playing field here. You know, a lot of Tetrises we've seen so far will put something in the background, so you can kind of, I mean, for me anyways, it helped me line up the pieces somewhat. It increased readability. Am I going to? Yeah, I think I am. This doesn't have any of that on the playing field, but again, I probably gravitate towards it a bit more just because it looks like what I'm used to. I feel like putting a background on the game board fell out of style pretty quick. I think we're just leveling up based on lines, so really, I guess there is a points incentive for getting Tetrises, but not really a complete the level incentive. Also, I don't believe we're doing, still, yet, oh wait, is there no wall kicks? Can't put the piece up against the wall and have it pop itself out so I can keep playing. Seven lines remaining. Looking at the screen now. That's new, right? I guess it has to be because there wasn't, well no, because we've always leveled up based on the number of lines, but okay. I don't remember a game where the lines were counting down. Probably just forgetting. Let's just do that. End the level. Wow, it still doesn't feel like the speed has increased at all. not a, doesn't. Okay, we'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do one whole game, you know, see how far I can go, see what kind of high score I can get. And then we will just do some quick hits on the music. And then if I'm really feeling it, maybe we'll do a silent run. Kind of getting like a... There are some roguelites out there, lights, whatever, that kind of the death knell is how long a run takes, you know? Like, what was the one? There was like a Peggle roguelite that was fun, because I feel like I don't get enough Peggle in my life. It was a Peggle-like. It wasn't, you know, strictly speaking branded a Peggle game, but that was the... It was Peggle. But I fell off it just because it was like every run took more than 30 minutes, which maybe doesn't seem like that much, but for a roguelite, that's a bit of an investment, I feel like, sometimes. Actually, you know, and then I've most recently played Hades, did a whole video on it, and some of those certainly went longer than 30, but never had a complaint, so I guess it depends on the game to some extent, but you'd think I'd have a higher tolerance for it with Tetris, but really kind of wishing... Academically, I'm interested in what they did here, but kind of see why maybe it didn't become the norm. Okay, now I feel like I can notice the speed difference here a little bit. Not enough though, after 6. This definitely isn't, yeah, so there's some... This is not generally how fast it would be at level 6, I think, on nearly any of the games I've played so far. Oh, don't like that piece at all. There's a little bit of... Again, I'm emulating on an emulator here, so it's hard to tell what I'm seeing where necessarily, but there is a little bit of a lag to see, like I can hit over 3 times. Well, that one actually went 3 times. There have been a few that I feel like it didn't register a key press for whatever reason. You know, I guess I could mute the music for both of us now that I think about it. If I just go into OBS, right? I think you've got the idea. Let's give myself some time here. There you go. I'll let you know if anything changes music-wise. It's not going to. Of course, now I'm just going to be commenting on the music, and you're not going to hear my pain. There we go. Yeah, this can't be the 7. I'm on the lookout for the 7 bag system whenever that happens. I should really look up when that does actually happen so I can speak. Oh boy. If I do this, I'm just going to be... I guess it doesn't matter, because again, this is going to top out once I finish the round. It's never going to get too fast that I can't do it. So yeah, let's just go here. Wish I could have done something else there. 3 lines left, not so concerned. And we'll just do the last line. So 12 Tetrises, is that what that means? 1200 times 0. No. Oh, so maybe that is a bonus. I didn't do any Tetrises. Well, yeah, it's a bonus, like I said, when you're playing the stupid thing. Well, now I'm just asking for trouble. That piece. My score is really high. I guess. Probably not for whatever the actual high score of this game. What if I beat a Tetris, though? Can you beat a Tetris? Can you beat this Tetris? Is there an end? The music makes it feel like there isn't. Just gonna take it. Just gonna take it. Wow, I'm getting sloppy with this. Oh boy! Didn't mean to do that. I was not trying to illustrate the point. No, we'll just do that. I can still hear the music. Don't worry. It's full blast over here. I'm actually not sure. I don't know. I can just take it out of my ear, but then it'll come through the speakers on the laptop, so I would have to mute the speakers on the laptop. Oh wait, I can just mute it. Woo! All right. Finally playing the silent Tetris we've always wanted. Wow, this is nice. Excuse me. Yeah, could not, well, I guess, you know, even the 7-bag system would give you 2 lines in a row, but not often. Keep an eye out for 3 of anything in a row. That's how you can tell if it's not the 7-bag system, right? I can go for Tetrises again, though. It is nice. Previous games, it hasn't been strategically really worth it, so I've had to kind of change the way I normally play. Not sure if that was worth it, but That looks bad, but don't worry. You can clean that stuff up pretty quick. Again, trying to get used to taking the L more often, which would get me into trouble in any other version. Okay, so yeah, we just got 3 lines in a row, so definitely not the 7-bag system. Because the way that works out is obviously the way that works out. I will say that, I guess, about the round system is you can screw up and it doesn't necessarily feel like you're postponing the inevitable deaths. Never feels like you're too far gone, but that's because it's slow. No hold. Oh, I can turn off next, which used to give you a points penalty. I found out it's whatever key mapping I did mapped the up arrow to turning off next, but it comes right back on after I hard drop. So I don't know what's going on there necessarily, but I'm not going to sit here. It doesn't make any, kind of defeats the purpose if you got to turn it off every single time. Stage 8. Oh, stage 9. Okay. All right. See, that's something. Still not so much that I can't still play or hard drop. Concentrate on what I'm doing a little bit. Okay, well, making more mistakes than ever, but this is a weird one. Yeah, it doesn't seem like I get any. I mean, there's infinite spin is not a thing at this point. You know, the later Tetris games where you could, once it got down to it, just keep spinning it until you kind of got it where you wanted it to go. That does not exist in any game we've played so far in any shape or form. Even though it felt like it sometimes, I think it was just a function of either the emulation or the platforms, you know, not being able to necessarily process what was going on. Oh, this is dumb. I don't like that. That's dumb too. These are all dumb. All 3 of these S pieces I got in a row. Ugh. Feel like we were doing okay there for a second. Okay, we're back in it. And we only got 7 lines to go anyway, so. Not what I was looking to do, but that's okay. Getting sloppier. Yeah, I'm definitely moving a little bit faster than the Fujitsu or the emulator can keep up with for whatever reason. Okay. So level 10, and then we go up around. Oh, what's going on? Oh, music on. Oh, and then there's the garbage. Oh, so there is no 10, it's just round 1s at that point. Okay, so gotta remember to turn the music back on when we get close to level 9, so going silent again for you. and me, except for my jabbering. We might just play one game today. I mean, that level of garbage it just gave me was not... I've done worse to myself this very game. So, not really an issue. Would be if we were going faster. I wonder what the thought process was behind slowing it down. This is by far the slowest Tetris we've played. I mean, I guess it makes it more accessible, obviously. What other reason would there be, really? And, you know, Hank was pretty, you know, he has that quote about Tetris for the Game Boy, where if you want boys to play it, put Mario on it. If you want everyone to play it, put Tetris on it. Or whatever the actual code is. So that does fit, you know, kind of with that design philosophy. If we're going to slow the game down enough that more people can play it. But I don't know. In fact, did Hank's name show up on those credits at the beginning at all? I feel like they didn't. I mean, obviously he was at the head of the company, but I guess I don't know what his design credit actually would be on this version of Tetris. That's the one I want. See if it gives me the garbage at the beginning of every stage. Gives me the garbage. Gave me one piece out on the right there. That was strange. I'm going, okay, going just as fast as I can here. Wow, look at that, just pile of red over there. Maybe we'll just do this actual streamer style, you know, like all those channels that go for hours and hours on end. There's no good place for that. It's not necessary. Boy. Wasn't expecting to go this far without a line. Guess that's oh, you know, you are joking. I'm done. I can't get a line over there. Maybe I can. No, because there's no wall kicks. I can't. Oh my gosh. How did I not consider that? Well, I think I'm gonna get my wish, guys. Okay, wait, no, I'll just have to. What? Oh, and it tops out way earlier than you'd think. Oh, but that's just a life lost also. Okay, well, Lesson learned, I guess. That's remember that pile of red I mentioned? I guess that's the downside. I mean, that's just it's approximating randomness, but that's it, right? Like, even if it's just approximating, even if it was not approximating it, there would still be a chance of that happening, right? So I got so many lines at the beginning that the chances of me getting a line later were not very high. Is that what happened there? I mean, besides the fact that I just built too high and couldn't actually put the line over. That's kind of interesting that it topped out. What did they call there's a name for the top of the playing field that I can't remember now. A term. But it definitely topped out earlier than I was expecting. Don't necessarily love the tower I got going on here. Looks a little better. Not going to be a Tetris though. Oh, what am I doing? I should have just put that on the right. Is this one wearing me down? Is it wearing you down? Tetris got you down? Yeah, it is. It's definitely wearing me down. Saying things that no sane person should say. What else did I see in looking this thing up? Not a lot, actually, because it did, strangely enough, I'm doing better at budgeting my time, and then I'm not up until 4 a.m. trying to get these things running the night before. Oh boy, come on. Give me something I can use. All right, now we're talking. Oh, that's right. Round over. It just restarted the stage too, right? When I died, when I lost a life. Oh, is that carryover from the game from the previous round? Is that what's happening? Like, it gives me straight up garbage as defined by Tetris. And then there are just, if I have something left over, is that what defines? No, I guess it's all garbage. It just doesn't look like traditional, you know, like got spaces everywhere garbage. Yes, give me another of the one that I just, okay. Oh, also speaking of wall kicks, which I did, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours ago when this thing started. The Atari, so American Tetris version, does have wall kicks, which I think is the first. It's going to be the first that we've seen at all. You know, every other Tetris, if I go up against the wall like this and try to rotate, it won't pop it out for me. So maybe this is, in fact, I need to look up what came first between the Sega arcade version and the Atari arcade version. Because that might determine... I want to say wall kicks was a Sega invention. Like, there were lots of bits that were born out of the Sega arcade version of Tetris that became mainstays. I think, if I remember correctly. And wall kicks might have been one of those. This is, I only got 2 lines left. Right, let's just do it. Okay, there we go. 45,101. This can't be, like, this is not a tournament Tetris, I would gather. Unless, I don't know, the point of that is to, you know, it's a high score, but it feels artificially inflated in a way, you know, like, it doesn't feel like a real thing. Okay, well, doesn't look like a real thing either now. I only did that because I saw I was getting another line. I should probably use, now that I have to, not that I have to, now that I can, or that it's there no matter what I do, I think I should actually use the next feature of the game, huh? Which is, again, that's me. Not, I'm sure there are people, I know there's people that like, you know, like if you're playing cards, you can count cards. I know there's people that can count Tetris pieces. You know, like they know what's coming up based on what has already come up, especially with the 7-bag system. I wonder if that's still possible without that system. I guess it depends, because again, this can't be truly random, which I really need to look up because I keep saying that, but from what I understand, computers cannot generate true randomness for whatever reason. So I guess if you keyed in enough on whatever algorithm they were using to produce the feeling of randomness, you know, like whatever is actually telling this game to produce pieces when, then yeah, you should be able to game the system, right? Oh, guess I could have done that sooner. Stage 4. How many rounds? Good gosh. Game is split into 10 stages of 6 rounds each. 6 rounds. So I'm in round 1 of possible 6. Wow. I really should have blocked out more time for this version of the game. Did not understand. I poked around a little, like I said, like I always do, but I guess I just assumed at some point it would get difficult. I mean, it will be. This, especially if, I mean, I guess that's the question. Is this just the same speed ramp that has been going on the entire time? Or is it a steeper speed ramp now that I'm in round 1? Can you hear the water heater going crazy? Still in the garage, folks. Right next to the water heater too, by the way. It's not like it's not over in the corner and you can just hear it. It is right there. I don't put any processing into the live shows as far as the mic goes, so When that happens, if I'm recording something, you don't hear it because I process that stuff right out. But here it's raw. I mean, that I joke, but that's one of the main reasons I wanted to start doing these shows. Besides, I had the idea for playing not every version of Tetris, because I don't think that's possible. You know, especially if we get into bootlegs and stuff like that. It's not tenable. It's probably possible. Somebody may have done it already, in fact. But for me, it is not tenable. But yes, back when this was but a germ of an idea in my head. Go watch the trailer. I kind of explained it in the trailer for this series. I wanted to be closer to you. Hey, 5 Tetrises. That feels like a good one. I feel like I've topped out at 6 for a stage. I've been paying attention. Except for that one time, I do feel like I'm not getting as stuck waiting for a piece, even though I'm going for far more Tetrises than normal. Well, we'll see what happens after this, because that was 3 lines in a row, and that's basically what sunk me last time. Aha! You thought those were going to mess me up. Okay, well, and then you gave me 3 green S's in a row. 4? Sheesh. Going for it. Let's lay it flat. Laying the line flat. Boss move, if ever there was one. I don't even care. I'm not even going to use it for a Tetris. I'm going to lay it flat. I'm going to really get hit by an S piece right now. Sure, I'm going to die when later I need that line and I don't have it, and okay, there it is. I was going to say, and have built too high to use it, but ew. Things are getting ugly. Okay, I'm going to take the L way early on this one. Possibly not early enough. Put that there, leaving no spot for an O. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should also not do this. This is not going to help me later. Wow. Lucking out with the, well, kinda, except now I don't know if I'm better off. It's alright, because I'm gonna take the L's with the L's. Okay, yeah, it didn't matter. Almost done with the stage anyway. 6 rounds? Hey, at least we have the end round music to look forward to now that we know that that's coming. I will unmute on stage 9. We will brave this song. In fact, maybe I'll unmute on stage 8. It wasn't going that fast, was it? On stage 9? 2, 3 lines in a row. Here we go again. Actually, let's do this. Yes, that. No, not that though. That was a mistake. Did I have any other plans today? I don't know. Did I? Do I? Did it matter? Does it matter? This is nuts. I can't believe this made it all the way through. Like, maybe this is the vibes Tetris, you know? Like, this is the one you booted up because you just set aside an entire day. You know, it's been a long week. You just need to sit. You know, you could be just as easily watching a TV show maybe. But Tetris is your game. You're looking forward to just sitting down, tuning out. This is like the baked potato of Tetris games. How does the Mitch Hedberg joke go, you know? Sometimes I like to put a potato in the oven, not because I want a baked potato, but by the time it's done, who knows? Sometimes I start a game of Tetris for the Fujitsu FM-77AV, not because I want to play, but because by the time 24 hours is over, the length of a single game, who knows? Would that work? Going as fast as I can, folks. Why don't you just stop playing? Why don't I just stop playing? I feel like we answered that question very early on in this series. Why don't I just stop playing? We didn't come here to stop playing Tetris. We came here to rotate pieces and mute the music and chew gum. And we're all out of gum. I knew eventually I would get to like some endurance Tetrises, right? Like that's not a thing. I just didn't think it would be so soon and necessarily for this reason. Maybe we won't get to hear the rest of the music. You know it's bad if I'm actually checking my phone to make sure there hasn't been an emergency at school. Nope, not what I was thinking, but we'll take it. Something tells me it'll be okay. I'm going to get cocky now. Maybe that's what it is. They're playing the long game here. They're like, it'll be easy for like the first 500 levels, and then boom, right when they think they've got it, what else is going on? Let's just talk about the channel. I mean, that's what a lot of people do, right? A lot of streamers out there, they don't even talk about whatever the heck they're talking about. Lots of YouTube videos for that matter, I guess. Mine are all fairly pointed and focused, even if generally speaking the channel can be all over the place. We're in a good spot though. Speaking of Ryan Runs now, though, if you've just tuned in, you're going to get an inside scoop on the channel here. Because I've got, in fact, this is where I'll break all of my yet not fully formed thoughts on phase 3. Phase 1 was kind of the overarching ethos behind phase 1 of the Ryan Runs YouTube channel was anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. It was just kind of a get it done, get it started, get it out there. This is somewhere, maybe not so deep down, I knew that this was what I wanted to do. I had been, there's go to the Patreon, I've talked about this numerous times. I've become very effusive about it over the years even, but I've been, okay, I'll tell you the long story. We're here, right? Straight out of college, I got a job working for a dental supply company. The video department was run by the owner's son, and still kind of very much even though it was a multi-million-dollar company, still run like a mom and pop. The boss really called the shots. The owner really called the shots, and the owner's son called the video shots, which that manifested in him hiring 5 editors, maybe 6. Did we top out at 6 to do these? We would also do weekly live streams. They weren't called live streams, they were called broadcasts, even though I don't know if, strictly speaking, yeah, they did utilize broadband, so there you go. But we would turn those into training videos for dentists, and that was my life for quite a bit until 2008 happened. And let's say this is also a mostly cosmetic dental supply company. You can imagine that demand went down quite a bit. It's not like video games or similar entertainment companies where when times are bad, you can actually see an uptick in sales or patronizing because people need it. That's also something I get into. If you go check out the podcast I did very close to the launch of phase 2 of Ryan Runs, where I talk about how entertainment can often get the short shrift. Well, it's important. Not the most important thing in the world, obviously, but those aren't
the two options, are they? Being not important and the most important thing in the world. So Ryan Runs sits comfortably there, but that job at the dental supply company has kind of been the only job I've ever had. You know, that's not strictly speaking true, not counting all of the jobs that I had in the lead up. You know, like my first job, I worked at Taco Bell. Loved every second of it. Don't get me started. Then I got to talking again, and we missed the... Is that still going through? It's not. Uh-oh. I think our game might have just crashed. Nope. But the audio not... The audio is done. It quit. I'm not sure what exactly is going on there. And the garbage is higher. We are to round 2. Really? There's no... sound? Yeah, it's just done. Interesting. Not sure if there's necessarily a way to reboot that for you, but we won't worry about it. Still going. You know it's bad when you thought the game crashed and you were going to be able to end the stream. My audio's still going. I can see it. Doing great. So yeah, that's maybe the bit I don't talk about a lot, is that job has kind of been the only job I've had, like you know, traditionally speaking. I stayed with that company throughout 2008. They laid off everybody but me, and then they finally laid off me. So I spent, it was obviously, you know, a blessing in disguise, because strangely enough, I mean, the as you might imagine, you know, by the time I was done there, it wasn't an awesome place to be. They were going through numerous buyouts. It was going through many different forms of growing pains, you know, trying to basically corporatize or, you know, make some sense of this mom and pop structure that had been so successful, but not necessarily profitable in a, you know, like you've just bought a company and want it to be, to turn a profit or flip it or however that goes. I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade. And they did the thing that a lot of companies do. Well, they'll bring in, you know, the first group was there to cut, and they did. You know, that's where everybody got laid off and slashed and whatever it was. And then they were out, and they brought in a new company, which looked like another buyout, but was essentially just, they brought in the builders. And they built. You know what's actually going to happen is my camera's going to it's going to die before. Oh boy, let's plug it in. See if we can stave this off as much as possible here. Might have to take a hit. Go. See if that helps at all. I just got the 0 battery, so I don't care. Let's go until all of the batteries die. I just need to go faster. That's what I need to do. We're only on, oh my gosh, we just started over. You're right. Am I going faster at all? It doesn't feel faster. It doesn't feel like there's any speed increase between rounds, just stages. Anywho, so that company stuck around, weathered the storm, and actually started to I mean, they rebuilt when they brought that second team in, but kind of rebuild again with the rest of the world after 2008. And what I started to mention was that in a, happy accident to some people and maybe divine, not intervention, what would it be? Inspiration. I had just, before I got laid off, months before, and again, stuff wasn't necessarily great at the job, so there was an obvious advantage to this. It wasn't a huge revelation, but I was like, I should really have my own equipment in case I want to do my own thing. Because this is also when, I didn't even know if I liked video editing. It was just kind of, when I went to college, I chose the two things I had a current interest in the most, which was history, and I don't need this in my ear, do I? History and film, which obviously long story there. But if you go to college, to university even, and get a degree in film studies and history, you can coach any high school C-tier sports team that you want. Is essentially the employment opportunities that are open to you. And this is you guys know me. I'm a recovering introvert of sorts. I didn't perhaps take the most advantage of either of those programs that I could have. I have one or two or three friends from college, people that I would say I got to know there, and we keep in touch regularly enough. Otherwise I made it the whole I mean, this looks good right now, but I really need a line. A few lines, in fact. Is this it? Is this how I die? Or lose my next life? Okay, there it is. Have I built too high already? No. Okay. Still, am I going to get another line in time to do anything with it? Anyway, so I'm not going to issue all of the blame, but I almost was going to take the L, but then I got a line or an eyepiece, right? Isn't that what we call lines sometimes? There we go. Boy, where was I? When I started Tetris Tuesdays, I knew it was going to be about life. I just didn't know this was going to be how. Anywho, that job, that company did recover from the dark days of 2008. It oftentimes seems like just in time to get hit by COVID, but they recovered so much, and I want to say maybe another 2 buyouts later, were headed up by a team the head of marketing of which kind of understood or championed the value of video. So at this point in my life, I had already made peace with being in a video editor. I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can like doing this to some extent. The alternatives are less appealing. And they hired me again. That same place that has kind of been my only job out of college and ever. I mean, meanwhile, I had taken up freelance. That's the end of that story, where I bought my Canon T2i and took to the streets and, never advertised. It was all, in fact, still is word of mouth. If you hear me talk about client work, it's somebody somewhere has told somebody this dude does an okay job, and I have gone and done an okay job for that person. The place that laid me off took me back. And most of this story is a slow realization of, what I really wanted out of a job, I guess, or a career, you could say, because I keyed in far too late to the fact that as a videographer, I was largely a part of many different marketing departments, even freelance. That would just be where I ended up and who I dealt with, which, no offense to any marketers, I've only dealt with largely good people, and I'm a people are good type of person, so take that for what you will. Not saying I haven't dealt with some questionable people as well, but whatever. I've been a questionable person at times in my life. But I was keying in more on the fact that, well, that is just what this job is. If I'm a video editor, I'm marketing or helping somebody market something. And personally, I'm the guy with ad blockers on every single device he owns. Like that's who I am in the real world. I probably shouldn't use that term. So was okay, and finally came at it. It was also one of those jobs where I had become so okay with what I wanted to do that I wasn't like, I was still doing freelance work for this company, so they knew of me. So they were the ones that kind of proposed coming back in-house. And I was like, well, I've kind of come to this realization and blah, blah, blah. So if I'm going back in-house, it'll be for this amount of money. And they took me back for that amount of money. And I really liked the team. I had, my skills had improved, so that's probably why I can say I did some of my best work also, but liked the team that I was doing it for. It wasn't bad at all. So look at us. We're all cleaned up here. As I clean up my life, I clean up the Tetris. Again, when this just ends abruptly, it's because my camera died. But strange thing happened. This was in 2019 that they finally hired me back. And guess what happened in 2020? So I got furloughed less than a year later. And they did me right. They kept me on furloughed, which I believe meant I was getting some sort of money. I think maybe I went on unemployment as well, or whatever it was called, during COVID times. But they also, insurance. Why did I do that? That's going to come back to bite me. Kept me on their insurance, the whole nine. So we actually, COVID wasn't fun, but I feel like because of some kind people and the way they handled things. It could have been a lot worse for us, certainly. So, but eventually got full on laid off again. So laid off by the same company twice, my friends. That is a real thing that happened to me. But again, once again, they kept me on in a freelance capacity. I did not disappear. They had far less work for me. Obviously, they were in survival mode. In fact, I'm often kind of surprised they did survive. I don't know how, I was never privy to how bad it actually got, but could have been great. You know, they pivoted to hand sanitizer largely and other things that we had the capability to produce with what we had already. So, you know, hats off to that team that made it happen. But they survived, and I still do work for them. They are still a client of mine. Not a lot. They've gone through some additional changes. In fact, I like how I've gotten this far and not said the name of the company, which seems fine. I don't know that we have to get that specific. It's not going to make the story any better for you. But they were bought out by a company that you may have heard of before the company I'm actually talking about. They got bought out by Shine, which is a huge, I guess, Canadian distributor. Is that again, not privy to a lot. I mean, Shine, you know, you don't work in the dental field without hearing about Shine at some point. But let's let that drop and slide it in. So anyway, they're doing great. I still do work for them. But in that moment, and this is something I do talk about, you know, where they did hire me back and I got laid off again, I kind of figured out. I was like, well, you know, and this is when I leaned in to all of my passion projects, really, like the movie podcast, and before that, this is basically when the Patreon happened, you know, and it happened for the movie podcast that I was doing simultaneously with Ryan Runs. So that's when that all kind of popped off. I was like, no, this is what I'd like to put into the world and spend time doing and find some people that agree with me. This should be, right now what this should be like a telethon. I should be telethoning. I should be driving subs and subscriptions to that Patreon, which I haven't even mentioned yet, except for right now, after a 50-minute, how long have we been going? Dare I look? An hour 30. Wow. This is a record, folks. I think we're only going to play one game today, guys. Maybe I'll scroll through the music choices for you. Hank Rogers, was this the idea? Boy. I love the look, but I'm starting to think. Again, I'm above average, but I feel like this would have been an issue for a lot of people that went to play this and were like, wow, every game takes like a lot of time. I've only lost one life. I'm about to hit the 100,000 mark, though, as far as the score goes. If that's good. You know what I could do is replace the battery in my camera, too. I don't think the stream would actually end. Might just have to do some... Because I can pause this. Look, I can pause the game. We can stay here as long as I like. So that's pretty much how Ryan Runs was born. But again, towards the beginning, it was very much anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. And that is a phrase that basically means get it out, get it done, get it started. And that was the ethos behind Ryan Runs at the very beginning. And I don't regret it. You know, like you can go back and see some of the earliest shows like Chasers. You know, in fact, Chasers was kind of it was one of the first times I was like, oh, okay, this might be what I'm doing here. You know, I work very slowly in terms of finding focus, especially for this site, for many different reasons, personal, personality quirks and all. But you can go back and look at those and see that, yes, very much the idea was anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, because I'm proud of them. I'm proud I got them done. It was super fun, speaking of chasers specifically, because I was going back and, it was also the first time this channel became about something like, researching and spewing that back to you in one form or another. So you can go back and watch those and be like, yeah, this was early Ryan runs, and eventually that became this show and that show, and I've put a finer focus on things, obviously. The video games are over there, and over here, I guess, if you count Tetris Tuesdays. There's a game in the life, which is, more of, I've played a game, which this happens less and less, which is why you see less and less of those videos, even though and you can go find there's a Patreon post, I believe it's public, where I kind of detail some of the ideas I have for all of these series in the future, but eventually a game in the life, there will be, because when I was doing the video game podcast, you play the game, you take the notes, much like the movie podcast, and then you use those notes to produce the content. And that habit never kind of went away. And go listen to our, the name of the movies podcast was Book Club for Movies. It's still out there. I believe you can just Google that and it will come back. I think we permeated the cyber landscape enough that Google couldn't help but surface us in some way when you search that term, Book Club for Movies. But there's a movie we did called Stan and Ollie that I think it was favorably reviewed, but it's not like I hear people continuing to talk about it or anything like that. I loved it because it brought entertainment a little bit more into focus for me, which had been something that, I had personally been dealing with. But they tell a story about how, I forget which one died first. Is it Ollie died first and Stan died first? But the other continued to write Stan and Ollie bits, until probably he died, until well after his friend had passed away. And that's kind of how I feel when I'm taking notes on video games still. I'm like, my friend has not passed away. Bad analogy, Matt. Sorry. Very much alive and well. We're still in contact. But this is getting ugly. Sorry, taking a second. The uglier it gets, the more I hem and haw here. But I have continued to take notes on all the games I've been playing. It's just that, I mostly play games with my daughter nowadays, which, nothing wrong with that, obviously. But I think going all the way back to 2022, I have these notes. So I'm going to be doing for a game in the life, these are all the games, like mini reviews. They're going to be pretty rapid fire, but there's, it's an entire year's worth. So it's not going to be a short, it'll probably still be a short video actually, now that I mention it. But that's what's in store for that series. Cinematic is not going to change much. I am actually, besides, bringing additional people into the show, I did a show with Mitch, who was a friend in the comments. I joke around, so I call him Mitch in the comments. But he's coming back. He actually watched all 300 plus Shaw Brothers movies over the course of I don't know how many years. That's going to be one of the questions I ask him. When he came on, we talked about 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, which was a fantastic Shaw Lau Kar Leung movie that is his favorite, and I haven't sat down and thought about it, and feelings can change over the course of time. So it's kind of like if I sit back and think about what my current favorite Shaw Brothers movie is, anyway, 8 Diagram Pole Fighter is way up on the list regardless. So, but he has been through, like I said, all 300 something Shaw Brothers movies. So couldn't help but have him back. I've got questions for him. So that'll be the next episode of Cinematic, which is a bit of a departure because it's not, me just talking about a movie. But that hopefully won't be a rare occurrence, and that I bring other people on to talk about movies. I know who I want to have on for, as we come to movies that I've done already for that Book Club for Movies podcast. I'm like there's Righting Wrongs. What was the other one? Blonde Fury. Movies that I could justify doing again for Cinematic. Don't know if I will, but there's another one in The Perfect Weapon as I delve a little bit more into, movies from the States. There's certainly someone I can have on for that, Jonathan Blade. I believe that was one of the ones you mentioned, but also Rumble in the Bronx, which is still a ways off, especially if I'm just doing one a week on those, but is a formative movie for me. Like that's where it all began for me. Was that the first Jackie Chan movie I saw? It might have been, but it was certainly the first where I was like, oh, this is something daddy like. Sorry, I'm getting loopy. Starting to make comedy Bang Bang references before I possibly lose another life here. Nope, still in it. Survived. It's getting a little... Oh, we're on 9, that's why. Hey, look, it goes much faster when you talk about your life. Not sure where this is going. Yeah, that's fine. 15 lines to go. What other shows am I making? Oh, Old School. You want to hear about Old School? So, I don't remember if this went that far out past the Patreon. I did a Patreon exclusive video that got maybe a little bit more into it. Older School is the video series let's see if our audio is back. Nope. Oh yeah, when I click into the emulator, it takes that as it registers it as a button press. So that's why it keeps kind of auto advancing right there. Older School. So I was an amateur skateboarder. I kind of don't mind putting it like that. That usually means you were sponsored in some way still. I wasn't. I hung out at the local surf shop enough that I got deals, but that was not obviously sponsorship. I didn't even understand what sponsorship was back then. It just was like this nebulous thing that happened to you if you were a very good skater. I didn't think about, going to competitions and that was, I do remember Dominique at Surf Connection, the surf shop where we got our stuff, trying to school us on that at least once or twice, because he was he was probably sponsored, like legitimately sponsored surfer, and was competing at a, I don't know, national level maybe. I guess that just means he was traveling all over the nation. But his comment was like, I competed nationally, or however he competed, and it wasn't bringing in any extra business, which, that was the missing key for me. I didn't understand that being sponsored was like, you're actually going out and doing something for the business. And I wasn't, I was about as good at skateboarding as I am, and no, I was probably better at skateboarding. I was going to say as I am at playing Tetris, but very much the same kind of vibe. Why does it start me out at stage 0? That seems unnecessary. Seems like it could give me a little bit of a break there. But I did compete. I at one point had to lie about my age so I could get into a competition up north that was, again, I don't know why. It was just the culture, right? You were competitions are part of skateboarding culture, but it probably doesn't mean the same thing that you might think. People think about competitions and they think about, these knockdown, drag out fights, or even like normal sports competitions that are like there's some sort of amount of trash talking or I don't know, animosity between teams or whatever. That stuff doesn't exist in skateboarding for the most part. Like everybody's a friend at the competitions. And the one I had to lie about my age. I had to say I was 16, and I had to lie about being sponsored because I was not technically. So I ended up competing with a couple guys from Scarecrow and I think Creature skateboards at the time, and placed. I got 3rd, which a lot of kids joined. Again, it was just a thing. So there were a lot of people that joined that were like just kids, and it was what we did. Let's say Dylan Gardner was there, I believe, and let's put this over here. I need to get rid of some of this garbage faster. But they would basically tell you if it was worth sticking around after the competition. You would go up and be like, hey, should I? Because you had to wait for the results to come in, or it was like you maybe had to wait for another age bracket or whatever it was. And so we went up and we're like, hey, should we hang around? And she was, in the process of being like, no, you can go. No, you can go. No, you can go. And then she probably wasn't expecting somebody that actually placed to ask that question. But again, I was just a kid, didn't really necessarily expect to place. I had just joined because it was what you did. And I kind of still remember the smile on her face. She was like, you should stick around. Like, didn't smile on her face, but wouldn't look us in the eye. She's like, you guys might want to stick around. I'm like, what? And the whole crowd went nuts. So what this has to do with older school, I'm probably shooting myself. This is good content for older school. I should save it. Don't care. It's become a bit more of a, because I'm going to do it on my phone, because Evelyn's going to help me film the thing. So it actually became more of a, like, I want to make sure it looks as good as possible type thing. Because everything else is shot here on my A7S III. It's a fantastic camera that looks gorgeous at, well, I was going to say at all times, but you still got to know how to use it, obviously. But the iPhone takes a little bit more work. Obviously, there's a Apple Log now, which if you went to Patreon for any of my PAX content, you'll notice I got real into doing the Apple Log test videos. I was having a lot of fun seeing what the limits of that were and using the Blackmagic camera app and all that stuff. I'm going to put this over here. So, nope, didn't help because I still got to put that there. That's what I was hoping happened. But that has meant that it's taken a little bit more to get going. Already it was going to be an issue because I knew summer was short. School is already back in session, so there's that issue, both because my daughter, the cameraman, woman, girl, is back in school, but also some of the spots we want to shoot are at school. So that means it's a weekend proposition at this point. So yeah, lots of considerations there, but the mechanical ones I think might have been met at this point. Like I said, I bought an ND filter. There's a Freewell is the name of a company that does lots of camera equipment, and they made a kind of an ecosystem with this Sherpa iPhone case that you can, the ND filter, but also numerous other filters, just magnets onto. So this is going so long. So now I can shoot at various different frame rates and exposures, whereas if I wanted to shoot certainly at 24, which I will for some of this, and I did consider, because the idea behind the show is that I made this video back in 93, 4, 5. I don't actually remember. That's just me and my friends skating around town and whatnot. And I eventually, in 2002, I believe it would have been, made an entire skate video out of it. In fact, I might have done it for Brandon, high school best friend, current best friend. That would have been funny if I was like current okay friend. I think I did it for like his birthday or something like that. I can't remember, when we went down to visit him or something like that. But I probably would have, not to lessen that gift at all, but I probably would have done it eventually. So, at some point in, I feel like it was close to the pandemic. Might have been in the middle. Might have been 2021. That was not what I meant to do. I did this video where I took a clip from that skate video I made, so from that footage in 90, whatever it was, and went to the same spot, did the same trick, and then did a side-by-side comparison. Or comparison, whatever, just played them side by side, and I posted it on my personal Instagram, that's how you can tell how long ago it was, because I don't even use my personal Instagram anymore. It's all on Ryan Runs. But didn't think much about it after that. Like everybody liked it. I got good feedback on it, and it was fun to do, and I liked it. But eventually was like, hey, what if I did that for this, like every trick in this video? So that's older school. Initially, it was like one episode will be one trick. I'll go back to the spot where I did the trick, and there'll be a lot more to it because obviously a lot of those spots have changed in 30 years, So I expected it to be, about life, much like Tetris is in this particular game. My gosh, how do you market this one? Here comes my wife, because I've been in here to check on me. She could come in if she wanted, actually. She probably won't, because she's too kind. Doesn't want to mess it up. Candy, can you hear me?
Yeah, can I come in?
If you want, yeah, if you need to.
That's not my car.
She wants her car, everybody. Yeah, you can come get it. Which, hey, speaking of which, if I don't talk about this a lot because I feel like there's no good way to, but we own Tesla. Okay, now I really am sad I brought it up. So this version, you're live, by the way. So
Oh, is it okay if I open the
yes, it's okay. You can come in. Just put your clothes on. This. Hey, come say hi.
Okay.
So this version of Tetris is set up where there are 10 stages to a round and there's 6 rounds. And you even have lives. Like there's almost no way to die. So this game is going on for like at least an hour 45. I mean, you know when I started, so.
Japanese Tetris, no way to die.
Yeah. No, there is a way to die, but it's just even when it gets up to level 10, it's not very fast. So I'm like, supposedly there's only 6 rounds, so this might actually be the first Tetris I actually beat, but it's going to be more of an endurance win than an actual skill.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is. Maybe this is where marathon mode got invented. Oh,
I'm
okay.
a genius.
All right, so that's why I've been in here.
I understand now. I'm going to try and back out without knocking your light over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't need the light with the garage door open. Look how great this looks right now.
Oh, can I unplug it then?
I mean, you can unplug it and then plug it back in when you leave.
Okay.
I'm just saying the whole picture is blown out since it's
Oh. Okay, I'll back out and then I'll plug this back in.
yes. Candy Miller, everybody. Yay. It's all been an endurance for Candy. He's streaming in the garage again. You know, it would have been like a horror movie if, like, they also upped the line. If this was like Bejeweled style, where every level took longer to complete because I forget what the actual. I mentioned Bejeweled because it's like one of the games that, you know, I never finished because of the way they set it up. But where they made it so.
I'm closing it.
Yeah, close it, but then, yeah, I think the light.
Light's back on.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Yeah, the way Bejeweled was set up was that it would, like, each level, and there was an achievement. Yes, you didn't need to know that. You already knew that. There was an achievement for getting to a certain level, but it was like once you got up to, it wasn't. I'm not even close on the thing. Like, I could still go back and put in some more levels if I really wanted to get this achievement, but they kept increasing the requirements. Like, you kept having to get a higher score to get through levels. So by the time you're like to whatever level they wanted you to go to, it was like you couldn't even get through one level. I'm still fired up about it. Couldn't even get through one level in an hour, you know, and there was many, many more levels left. So this could have been Bejeweled style, where no matter what, it was longer and longer. I'm still here. This is wild. I'm gonna run out of stuff to talk about, literally. What, I don't even know, like, I don't have my setup isn't such that I can see what viewership is like. I know these Tetris Tuesdays have a longer tail on them. It appears to be something that people tune into. Views have been going up, and awesome. You know, I in fact, speaking of views going up across the channel, you'll notice I don't do daily drum anymore. I think my, you know, there's always been some talk that, which is part of the reason this channel is so different, that doing a bunch of different types of videos kind of shoots yourself in the foot when it comes to the algorithm, you know, capital A. So there was an idea that Daily Drum, since it was a daily thing full of copyrighted music that didn't necessarily fit with everything else I was doing, there was the idea that that was hurting myself, hurting the channel, algorithmically speaking. So views have been going up. Whether or not that has something to do with it, I don't know. But Tetris Tuesdays, even though it's a live show, obviously, hello, this is happening in real time, so I'm getting hungry at this point. I'm just like, shouldn't do these so close to lunch. Should probably have a better breakfast. But I'm here until I die. That's I would rather starve to death than stop playing this game of Tetris. But yeah, the views on this particular show, I'm going to do a real weird thing. I don't think I've ever done that. This is crazy. Go up steadily after the show. So topping out at 80, pretty much 80-ish, if you want to know. So I started talking about that because yeah, it'll come back to me. I was talking about the different shows. I was talking about older school. Technologically, I think we're ready to go. It's just a matter of finding the time now on that series. What other series can I talk about? Cinematic, having more guests on. Wow, this is as poor a start as any have been. Is it just me, or is it, maybe it's, no, it does start. It starts the pieces in different orientations. That's interesting. I wonder what the idea was there, or why that ended up being. Some L pieces, it starts pointing down. Maybe that's their way of accounting for how I got stuck before, you know. I'm going to take the L because I don't like how high up we are. Take the L, take the loss, not the L piece. I should probably find a different way of saying that, even though sometimes it does involve an L piece. Taking the L with an L piece. At some point I started talking about Patreon, how this should be a telethon. I should be telethoning this thing right now, driving subs. I mean, it's true. You could go over to Patreon. It is a thing that exists that I am very thankful for. If you are a patron, you're the cream of the crop. You rise to the top. House of Pain. I do have a spare battery for the camera. Don't worry. I checked. No, we're good to put that one. Okay, a line is coming, so I feel a little bit better about that. sure about this. 3 of those in a row. Hey, if you're watching this, maybe you're interested in what I'm going to do for a game in the life. Oh, I feel like where I was headed at. I don't have it set up so I can see how many people are tuning in to this. You know, I look back at the numbers afterwards and I can tell that a lot of people tune in after the fact, but as far as live numbers go, I have no idea. I don't know if anybody's, you know, are the numbers going up the worse it gets, the longer it goes? You know, is this like is that Schadenfreude at that point thing where people tune in to see if I will survive? You know, has it become that yet? I don't know. Can't see the numbers. Might help me decide if I should keep going, if I could see the numbers. At what point does this, you know, get so bad that, you know, like the Back to the Future thing happens for Hank Rogers and somebody sends him the link and is like, get a load of this. It doesn't quite work because, you know, there's no time travel involved and he's already made the game, and it's more about, I do feel like I'm fading away though, actually, now that you mention it. Me being the one who mentioned it. I don't know what I was. 11 lines left. Getting very top heavy here. That's a lot of those pieces. Okay, we're gonna. Oh no, there's a line! Losing life, guys! We've got 1 life left in the Tetris game that features lives. Hey, there we go. That's something. Didn't do anything, but it's something. Oh, I don't know what's happening. I didn't get the garbage down fast enough, and it keeps putting me in positions where I need lines. This might be over. Man, so you're telling me. Okay, there's a line. Oh, not great though. Still not great. You're telling me another line. Now I'm just feeling bad that I've gotten this far in the Tetris that has taken this much out of me and might not actually make it to round 4, I guess. Didn't anticipate the garbage being as much of an issue as it is. It's not the L piece I needed. Oh, I could use a line though. Dang it, put that in the wrong spot. I hate using T pieces like that because it creates another issue farther down the line. Like this, see? No, that's a bad idea. Taking the L. Oh, no. I don't know if we come back from that one, folks. This could be all over. Do I wait for a line? Nope, I'm not coming back from that one. Now we find out, is it true three lives, or do I get a 0 life? Nope, game over. Guys. What a journey. Oh, I got first place. Ryan space first. Boy. Enter. I wish I knew what the music sounded like right now. Yeah, music is just done. It's got to be and it just boots the title or returns the title after that. So, you know what? You're just going to have to imagine what the other songs sound like. Did I give you a taste before? I don't remember. That's Tetris by Bulletproof Software for the Fujitsu FM-77AV. What a ride, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Can't wait to see what the numbers were on this one. Come back next week. Again, I don't know. There's two NEC ports, NEC PC8898, and two Sharp ports. I don't know how similar they are. I'm looking at a screenshot for one that I don't know which it is. Actually, that might be the MSX. There's an MSX2 version as well. So it's going to be one of those three. I don't know which. It'll depend on what can be emulated here from then out. So thanks for hanging out. You can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/Ryan_runs_. And you can see me doing probably another episode of Cinematic before the week is out. What is it, Tuesday? Feels like Saturday. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.